Ta-da! Another dyno video. This might be 2 in a row. I don't know. This one is a MK6 GTI, as you guys can see. It has a... We didn't do it before on this car, but it would have been like stage 2 Malone or Tunezilla. And typically they would dyno on our fuel like 240 to 250 wheel horsepower. I think my car did 250 wheel horsepower, right?
Yes.
Clayton's nodding, yes.
Yes.
However, this one is no longer stage 2. We've done a CTS Boss 500 kit.
I'll get the pluses. Put the pluses on this one.
Pluses? We're
pluses.
going up.
Up, plus.
Up. So, Boss 500 kit, which is essentially like a GTX 28. It has full CTS turbo back exhaust, catless downpipe.
Nice and loud.
It's not too bad.
I didn't hear you.
Okay. It has CTS intake. We've done upgraded map sensors, so 3-bar map sensor, still running 91 octane. I don't know if I've dynoed one of these Boss 500 kits on MK6s ever. So we've done them on MK7s and stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see how it fares out because the fueling will be the limitation on this thing, not so much the turbo.
So, why is that? Because we run 91 octane? No.
Well, no, just the stock fueling in the car. I mean, yes, 91. If we ran race fueling, it would definitely make more power. But it has all stock fueling. So we're hoping to see maybe 350 wheel horsepower, which is typical like old APR kits and stuff like that. Similar size turbo would make around that power. So proof is in the pudding, and we're going to dyno it and see what it makes.
Cool. And it looks like he's trying to put down some of this power eventually because it got some decent tires on it.
Yeah, he had, because obviously it's a front wheel drive car, it's a GTI, so he had hit me up asking what can he do to help get some traction with this thing. So some R compounds on the front for a street car, it's pretty awesome. Add in Clayton. Front mount intercooler, did that too. CTS, front mount intercooler. There's probably other stuff I'm forgetting, and we probably have some footage of the turbo. I think I filmed some of the differences between the OEM turbo and the Boss 500 turbo, some of the intercooler stuff, but you'll see it. So you can see the comparison. This is the new, obviously, Boss 500 kit. It does come with, it's not like the KO4s where it's kind of just a bolt-on setup, although it does look kind of similar with the manifold and stuff. There is quite a bit more to it to make this fit because this is essentially a standard compressor housing from a regular turbocharger, unlike all this nonsense that's going on here. So with that, it requires a different intake piece and a different charge pipe piece or a turbo outlet. And it comes with all the lines, fittings. Some of the stuff gets reused. The N75 and the diverter valve got to be switched over. You got to move some of the lines, lengthen them. Certain things have to happen to make all this fit, but essentially the kit is complete. So I just got to swap everything over, get all the lines. This takes a bit of time, but get all the lines. I think the oil return line needs to be modified a little bit. But it's time to get all this swapped over and get it in the car. This is a CTS direct fit intercooler. As you can see, the size difference is substantially different. We've run these on quite a few cars with great success. Okay, the first run to, I think we ran it to like 5,900. We did 312, but this time we're going to try to run it all the way out. So we're logging, everything looks good. Let's go. Okay, things are going good so far. I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but this car is running Malone software, Malone Tunezilla. So that's what we're tuning with this thing. We got a bunch of revisions to do as we go through the process, but I wanted to make sure that was added in here. So let's get to it. let's get back to it. All right, here we go. Doesn't look like we really got any more boost out of that either. So that one 314, 350 torque. So very similar to the last couple of runs. Have to take a look and see what's up. Okay, I didn't put my mics on or anything. I found a leak, had the car back on the hoist. I found a leak. Might free up some power, so I chucked it back on the dyno just to check one more time. Okay, we found a leak as we were buttoning it up. So we put it back on the dyno just to make sure everything was 100%. And we're gonna do another run here. And we're just logging it to make sure things are good. Okay, we scored a little bit more power that time. So 330 wheel horsepower, 365 torque. So we'll probably do one or two more runs. We're likely not going to see any more power than this based on the previous runs, but now that we found a leak, it was worth putting it back on the dyno just so we can clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to look at the logs. We may do one more revision. We'll follow up at the end here. Okay, we're just wrapping up this MK6 GTI with the Boss 500 kit. As expected, we kind of run out of fuel pump. We did make as much as 330, 365 torque, which is going to be substantially different on this car. It's probably the last couple of runs jacking it up like that. It was the high pressure fuel pumps getting maxed out. We could make more power with this 100% with better octane, but of course, as always, we're running 91. This is a pump gas street car, and the 91 octane really limits us. So the ignition timing is way low on it to be safe for the street. If we put 93 in it even, it definitely would gain probably another 20 to 30 wheel horsepower based on where it sits today. However, I think the plans are, and yes, obviously we could put race fuel in it, or 104 or 116, something like that, and make even more power, because that allows us to run more ignition timing. But with this setup on pump gas, what probably will be the next step for him, most likely will be maybe a water meth kit. We can get a little bit more octane out of it and some additional cooling, a little bit more fueling. So it's kind of the right scenario for this setup for where he plans on going with it. Again, this kit probably is going to max out around 400 wheel horsepower, probably a little more than that actually if we really leaned on it. It is based off of a GTX 28. So the turbo is capable. The fueling, however, in this car is not. So we have, I think, you're not going to see them all now, but I think we have a total of like 19 runs on this thing to dial it in. And I probably mentioned in the video, or maybe I didn't, with this specific chassis and ECU, we had to pull the ECU out to bench flash it. It's not typical for tuning these things, but it was required for this specific setup and the software that we're using. So on that note, if you guys have any questions or comments, I'm sure we'll see this thing back here again at some point with a decent water meth setup so we can crank the boost up and crank the timing up some more. However, it's going to be quite a bit different from where it was in the past. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, ask them below, and we'll see you in the next video. Appreciate all the support, everyone.